Hello and welcome. So many people, sales, selling, I don't get it. Like when somebody thinks of sales and selling, especially technical people, usually something like this comes to their mind. Or something like this, people that are trying to convince you in a strange way that everything will be alright if you give them your money. Yeah, and the product is always perfect, but it's actually not, and it's all about the money. And in some more exquisite style, you have those guys that are all the best and they know everything and they are perfect in anything that they tell you, but at the end things turn a little bit different. Just start my timer here. Yes, so and everything in the world of selling is like beautiful and everything is all right until the contract is done, and then you know what happens. So the thing is that actually people, it's not that people dislike sales guys, it's that people actually dislike the way people sell. So this talk has nothing to do with all the things that we saw. This talk has nothing to do with any techniques that will teach you or give you an idea how to kind of manipulate people or win at any cost, etc. It's about the normal way of selling, the way I understand it, and the way that it works for me. So the plan for this presentation is to start with a bit of reasoning. So why I'm motivated to do such a talk, then share with you 7 skills or approaches that work for me in selling, give you some examples, then map those to the QA expert's life. We'll have a couple of scenarios that we'll use for that, and then to give you some more ideas and guidance how you could actually increase your skills in this area if you're interested in it. And of course, there will be time for questions. You can post your questions on Slido, and you can post your questions, like share your questions live, which will be better. You'll see why. So first of all, I'd like to get your perspective. Do we have in the room people that have done any kind of selling as part of their professional role? So, okay, about maybe 20-ish people. Please, I'll need your opinion sometime later. So my perspective and where I come from, my name is Iancho, and I come from Bulgaria, and I started as a developer, so I'm a technical person. I went through everything from developer, architect, project manager, program manager, and currently I work for a company in Bulgaria called Musalasoft, and I'm responsible for a few things there. So one thing is I'm responsible for strategic clients, which means the success of the top tier clients that we deal with. Those are companies like IBM, VMware, Deutsche Telekom, T-Systems, Commerzbank, these types of clients. And the second thing that I'm responsible for is business development, which basically means sales. So within the company, we don't have separately sales, marketing, everything is around business development, and I'm responsible for it. And our main goal, of course, is acquiring new clients, so selling. So why am I doing this talk? So in general, what is a sale? So a sale, people conceive it in the most simplified way. There's a seller, there's a buyer, and there is some transaction. So the core thing that people know is that the seller sells something and the buyer gives back money. And actually there is this notion that the seller is selling, and it's like, how should I say? The more important thing is that the buyer will decide that they will sell and etc. But from my perspective, actually it's an equal transaction. So the only difference is that the buyer is providing value through money, and money is something that you can use for anything. Apart from that, it's an equal transaction between two parties exchanging something. So selling and the sale in the broader context means convincing, means being able to prepare and present motivated proposals, means to be able to negotiate effectively. So in general, the skills and approaches that you actually make you successful in sales are the skills that would make you successful in anything where you want to achieve something through another party. So usually you regard this as you want something from this other party, but it's actually transaction. So you give something and they give something to you. And being successful, again, from the sales perspective, would be like getting the deal, getting the money. But in general, the success, in order to define this as a, how should I say, as I said, an equal transaction, is both sides to be happy with the value that they receive through the transaction, the perceived value. So in general, just one notion, the sales process, the selling as a process, is something, again, simplified looking, that looks like this. So you have demand generation, or basically making the world know that you are around and coming up, so having the ability to come up with any opportunities for sales. So things around marketing, business development, etc. on the demand generation side. Sales and pre-sales when you have a specific opportunity to do such a transaction, and based on whether it's a success or a failure, after that you do, of course, delivery and follow through, or you do a postmortem. So answering the question why it makes sense to discuss it, here are a list of examples where actually selling is part of the IT person and QA person life. So for example, in the QA expert's work, you want to introduce automated testing into your project. You are not doing it currently, and you need to convince the people that are responsible for allocating time of the people, budget for tooling, etc. So you need to convince them, sell them the idea about this. You want to start using a new tool. Again, you want to change from Selenium to something else. Or you want to implement a process change. This process change might involve including new statuses and new steps in between. Again, you need to convince maybe the Scrum Master, you need to convince the developers that they need to do something else in between, etc. You need to justify a team increase, so you need more people. Again, you need to justify, you need to convince the other colleagues that this is reasonable. Or you need to convince developers to do something, So it's about how should I say, a common thing. So similar examples in a QA expert's career. So when you're looking for a new job, again, you're selling yourself. If you're looking to quickly go to a next step within your company, or at some point to switch to PM, to project manager or account management role, there are many cases and ways where you will need to have those selling skills. If you want to speak at conferences, again, you need to sell yourself, your ideas, your sessions to the organizers so that they invite you. And if a third group of examples is at some point you might end up needing to do real IT sales. So if you get into a startup, and even if you are a CTO, the technical person, you would need to know how selling is going, at least to be able to evaluate if the CEO or the business guy is doing the right thing. Or if you start up your own services company, or within your company, you get more and more engaged, more and more skilled, and you are one of the top experts. The top technical experts in a company very often are engaged in pre-sales activities, where they help the sales guys to prepare proposals and things like this. So all those are cases where knowing and applying sales skills and approaches could be of help. So that's the reasoning why I decided to do this talk. So I'll share seven seven skills and approaches. And in general, as I said, the whole mindset and notion of selling is maybe one of the most important things. There is this quote that selling is not something that you do to somebody, but it's something that you do for somebody. So if you change your mind from the very beginning of any sale that you're trying to do, or any transaction, or selling an idea, or anything, that it's not about you achieving what you want, but it's about you both achieving what you want to happen, and also that you want the other side to benefit from this, then this is, let's say, I would say one of the most important things. Or to say it differently, don't sell. So one of the best advices that I can give you for successful selling is don't sell. So don't sell in the sense of the normal way people perceive it. So always look for win-win cases and fits, meaning that it should be something that benefits both sides. Well, once again, I'm coming from the perspective of a company that works long-term with their clients. Like the average duration of the engagement of our top 10 clients is 7 years. So we're into the marathon business, not into the sprint business. So this is also my personal attitude to things. Always look for the long-term success, not for the short-term. So focus on the client's end results. So instead of your product, your features, even how well it works and things like this, you are successful when you focus on what the client will receive as an end business result from what you're proposing to them. Almost nobody is buying, for example, a software system just because they want to have a software system. ERP, CRM, whatever. It's not I want to have a CRM. It's I want to optimize my sales process and have transparency about my sales and things like this. So you should be an expert, and you should target the end results that your client will receive from what you're offering. And you should be 100% committed to this, meaning that if you understand this, and if you are motivated to achieve this, then this commitment clearly speaks to the client, and you evaluate things in a way to understand that this will actually happen. There is a nice quote from a great tennis player from the past, Martina Navratilova, which showcases the difference between commitment and involvement. So it's like the difference between the pig and the cock and the hen in the ham and eggs. So like the pig, the hen is the chicken is committed through the egg, but the pig is committed with the meat. So being committed to delivering success to your client means this: to draw blood whenever it's needed. Second thing, don't be a sales expert, be an expert. One thing that people consider is that successful sales guys are very good sales guys. So for me, what works best is not to be a great sales guy, but to be a great expert in what you're doing. So you need to clearly know what you're doing, or what you're proposing, or what you are selling, and focus on this. So there is the how should I say, the way to the fact that you can consult from day one when you start discussing something with the potential client it makes the total difference. And it's much better than knowing all the sales techniques that would help you. Being regarded on a peer-to-peer level comes only if you are the expert that consults, and not only consults to the problem that they come to you with, which might be a technical, but also one step further with what they want to achieve through this technical solution. Yes, and as we showed in the diagram, it's about delivering value. One also famous quote: people don't want a quarter-inch drill, they want a quarter-inch hole. So you're selling drills, you know your drills best, but your client ultimately don't buy them because they need drills, unless they are a reseller, but we're not talking about this case. They buy it because they want to make quality hose. The third thing that I would share with you is the notion of context and perspective. I cannot stress this enough, how important this, and especially with us technical guys. Being able to go beyond our framework of thinking and understanding, and to think and care about the other side, understanding their priorities, understanding their terms, talking within their terms and within their goals, and this way looking for a win-win situation. The other thing is that everybody, you should always know that everybody has their own agenda. So you cannot know everything about the other side. Although you can do research, you can talk to them, etc., there will be always things that you will not know that will impact their decision, whether they will say yes or no or something. So you should have this in mind. Try to eliminate as much as possible assumptions and look for common context. In order to be successful, you need to find the common context. For example, if you are how should I say, if you are selling a system or a service to a client, if you look at their industry, if you look at what type of system we're talking, what technologies they prefer, etc., it wouldn't make sense to give a high-level presentation about how good you are. It would make sense to focus in the context of themselves. So again, people have different perspective, business people, technical people, non-operational, other functional people. So always have in mind, you should always have in mind that the other side has some different perspective. I don't know how many of you saw this picture a year or something ago. There was a kind of a scandal, so some of you know it. I don't know how many of those 5 that raised their hands actually know that the situation is this. So it's a good example of perspective. So when you see it from our perspective, from what we saw, it looks like Prince William is showing the finger. And it's actually not the case. Another example that showcases this is this one. Again, it's very, very popular. Basically, one and the same thing that you're talking about can be different in the minds of the different people because they have different perspective. Fourth thing, in order to be successful in convincing and in, let's say, winning in sales, one of the most successful, most important things is to stick to facts, to examples, and third-party validation. Third-party validation meaning somebody else providing opinion, good opinion, providing a reference for the things that you're saying. So you don't want the person on the other side to trust you. You don't want for them to, well, many people are trying to do exactly like this, so to make the people believe what they're saying. So one strong thing that you can use is third-party validation. I can give you an example. In public relations, for example, in the big companies, the goal is to have publicity, articles about this and that, etc. So they have their KPIs, and one of the KPI is that an article is not counted as a success unless in the article there is somebody else apart from the journalist, apart from the guy from our company, somebody else that is giving an opinion, a client, a partner, etc. Because otherwise it's an advertisement. So as I said, you're trying to convince the person to start believing you. So use examples, use data, talk about things. If you cannot have it, if you cannot have such referenceable examples, for example, sorry, use specifics. So talk about your achievements, get into the details so that the people can understand that you know your stuff. Yes, this guy's CEO of ex-CEO of Netscape, and he has this this quote that I also like. So basically, when he's working with team, his notion is, if you have data, let's talk. If all we have is opinion, let's go with mine. So that's the case. So you don't want your other side, your client, to build their opinion just based on hearing what you want them to think. You want to give them facts. You want to give them meat, as they say. Number 5, fairness and integrity. Again, something that sales guys are known for not following, but actually the truth is that this, of course, is the right thing to do as a person. If you get into a situation when you do sales, you don't need to change from a decent person to a not decent person. So this is in the first place, of course. The second thing is that it works in the long run. So it works for business, it just is justified for the business also. So be precise, do discuss risks, no matter if you consider that like this is not the right thing. So the client wants something, and you see that things are the way they are planning to happen. You see that it will be risky, but you're almost closing and they're almost finalizing the deal, and you don't want to raise any risks. I can give you one example, a little bit behind time, but anyway. So one example is for we work for one big company, and we had, let's say, 2-3 already successful projects by this time, and they call us for another project, for a tender. It's really good. It's exactly in our domain. We are a very good fit, everything. So it's also, we have some, let's say, competitive advantage that will allow us to make decent money, because we have some, let's say, enablers that will save money for us. It's the perfect project, business-wise, operational, etc. The thing is that they have a deadline for delivery that when we discuss and see how we will staff the team that will do it, we don't have enough people. So we have like 2/3, 60-70% of the people, and we don't have the rest. I call the guys and ask them, is this project with a business deadline or internal deadline? Because if you have internal deadline, this means that, yeah, they need a marketing system, but it can be delayed. I mean, nothing so strong, so serious will happen. But if it's a business deadline, this means that for some reason after that, they will fail miserably in a way. Like, for example, they need to pay for another year with the current system, or they have a contract with another company that unless they have the system by this time, they will need to pay penalties, etc. And they tell me, okay, you not okay. They say it's a business deadline, we will lose a lot of money if we miss it. Then we discuss again internally, we see that we will put it at risk, and we tell them, and we see that it will be very risky for us to take it. And then I talk to our CEO, and I tell him, we are not giving a proposal in this case. And he confirms, I'm happy to work in a company that is responsible. And then I call them and tell them, guys, unfortunately, we will not provide you a proposal. This is the reason. We don't want to put the project at risk. And if you don't find another one from the competitors that is a good fit, call us. Maybe we can together think of something else. But for the moment, we don't think this is doable. Fast forward 1 year later, so we are somebody else won it. Everything is all right. So 1 year later, we meet for the first time with the CTO of this big company, and the CTO meets with me, our CEO, and another colleague, and we are prepared with a presentation to showcase how good we are at this, at that, and we're about to start. And the CTO says, "Just a second. Let me tell you what I know. I know 2 things about you." We meet him for the first time. I know 2 things for you. So one thing I know is that you were the first one that made a really successful project for us, and this project was showcased as a success story internally. The second thing that I know is that you refused to provide us an offer for a really lucrative and good project for you. So thank you for both of this. Now you can continue. So what I'm saying is that this is justified also from the business perspective. You should be correct. You should be act with integrity. A great definition of integrity is to always do the right thing, even if no one is watching, and it pays. So you should not run for business or for achieving your results at any cost. Quickly through the last two. So one important thing that usually people underestimate is to get to know what are the stakeholders in the decision-making process and what are the steps. So if you want to achieve something, it might look like this is the guy that will say yes or no, but usually, especially if it's a bigger thing, this guy will need to prepare a small business case or a small report that will be verified by some other guys. He need to convince some other guys, etc. So you need to know your stakeholders. Usually you have decision makers and influencers. So decision makers are ones that make that have a say in the final decision, and influencers are ones that provide opinion. You should address all of them. Try to take care of their priorities, and also know what's the process. If there are different steps in this process, you should be readily available and provide them, make it easy for them to get the information, get the decision, etc. And the last one, really important, especially for us technical guys, deliver effective content. So again, I'll repeat myself, but I cannot emphasize it more. So providing content thinking for the audience of this content, be it a presentation, be it description, text description, be it a diagram. So make sure, if you want the other side for the other side to be easy. You don't want them to for them to be a little bit hard to understand what you're trying to convey. So a really important skill is to learn how to create, provide, and deliver effective content. Actually, there are two bonus skills that I'll just mention. You are very successful, even more successful, if you get a thrill from what you're doing. So if you laugh and if you are into the thing that you're doing, this makes the things much easier. And second, when you're saying what you want and when you're doing the pricing, aim reasonably high. Like inexperienced people usually don't expect and even get to feel a little bit bad when they understand that actually they will not achieve, it will not be a no, but they will not achieve everything. So you should be ready that most probably some things will need to change. You'll need to kind of negotiate, maybe not get everything that you wanted, half of it. So that's why aim reasonably high. So there should be some range where you, like, it might be everything. It might be, okay, we need 3 months to experiment with automated testing, or we need to try this tool and spend this time, etc. So aim and price and like request on the top margin with the ability to negotiate and go down. So don't sell, be an expert, mind the gap, use third-party validation, be fair, act with integrity, know the stakeholders and decision-making process, and deliver effective content. So now from the people that raised their hands that they've been doing sales, can I have by show of hands your opinion whether do you think those things that I mentioned are effective in sales? Cool. I saw even a little bit more hands, which is interesting, but yeah, great. So all the other colleagues here, so don't trust me, trust your colleagues in the audience. So those things work. Now, let's try to map them in some aspects of the QA expert's life. So as we mentioned, there are quite a few examples that you can utilize those skills and approaches. We will use those two in the blue. So introduce, for example, one scenario is we want to introduce automated testing in our project. The second scenario is we are applying and trying to get a new job in a new company. So don't sell. What does it mean, the scenario of introducing automated testing? It means that you should not position this as we're doing mundane work, we're doing repetitive work, people are not happy, etc. Of course, you try to solve this problem also, but you should focus on the project goals, on the company goals, and address and talk in the language of, in the terms of this. From the very beginning, don't like desperately want to do it, but consult. So discuss with the people that are responsible how this can help. Understand their concerns. So don't be discouraged about discussing. Even don't fear rejection. Rejection is a temporary thing. So you can get rejection because of some concerns. Then you try again. Be committed. So show commitment. So do your research, do your analysis, invest in advance. So don't just go unprepared to just with some ideas, but go with good preparation. Also take your part in the initial risk. So this thing may fail. You might have I don't know, important releases that are coming, and you want for this thing to happen now, and they say, okay, next 3 months you cannot do it just because we need to be focused on 100% on the releases. We don't have new people, so only manual testing. Take your part. Okay, if you want it dearly, then say, okay, we'll put, I don't know, 10%, 20% of our time, and in case we're delaying releases, we will do our overtime on our expense so that we don't risk the releases. So be committed, be the pick, as I said. In the case of getting a new job and in a new company, again, not selling means caring about the company goals and the project goals. So not trying at any cost to just get in, but from the very beginning, do yourself an evaluation with the other side. If and how you actually could be a good fit. You cannot imagine there are people here, I'm sure, that are doing interviews, that are hiring managers. I'm sure that they know what a difference it makes when you see somebody that has this attitude, and what impression it makes. Show that you understand the risks, and again, be committed. So if, for example, just improvising now, if they need, like, there are 5 requirements, one really strong requirement, you don't fit to it, but you did, it's a technical requirement, you did something similar with a similar tool, you know you'll be quick, in 4 months, in 3 months, you'll be up and like prepared to do, and with good expertise, but they need to trust you. So take your part of the risk. If you're really sure that you'll do it, then you can say, okay, I can start at really low salary, and on the condition that I reach those tangible goals, meaning something that can be clearly identified if it's achieved or not, then I will get in the 3rd month or 4th month, whatever, the salary that I expect. Otherwise, I quit. So you lower the risk of the company. They have an objective thing to worry about. You lower the risk for them, and you can get into a much better position to enter. Be an expert. So in the case of the introducing test automation, not trying to like focus at how do I sell this idea, focus at how I do it, how I really make sure that it will be successful for the project and the company, not for myself, for my people, for my team. So know what you want to do, how you want to do it in terms of technical implementation, who will be doing it. So for example, we have one expert already, or we have one guy that's coming in 1 month with this experience in this tooling, for example. And we also have prepared a training path which has proven that within 1 month, half-time engagement on it for training, and people will be good. So think about everything so that you show on your turf that you are the one that is in control, and you build trust this way, not somebody that's trying to do something to the other party, but to do something for them. Have a plan, 5 minutes. Okay, so mine shows 12, all right. Yeah, have a plan how to do it. Know well the tooling that you'll be doing, so know everything around your proposal. I'll then go through the examples of the first scenario. Here you can see some examples of from a project that we did where we needed to introduce test automation. So you can see some examples of how we structured the analysis. I wouldn't say even it's a proposal because it was a joint analysis with the deciding party. So you can see that we did general analysis about it cannot it's readable, okay. There were two options that we investigated, Selenium Movement SNG and Japan's POC. We did a comparison between the two, what we suggested, how it would be implemented. We made basic diagrams about how things will work. This makes things much more understandable on the technical side, and the technical part of the decision makers, and the business side has much more confidence that you know what you're talking about. You'll not be experimenting with it. So this is a diagram for the other option. Then we did a comparison, one option, another option, different categories, how they compare, which is better in which case, the different ones, how we consider who is the winner in the different cases, so you can analyze it. Then the bigger picture with the different systems, what tooling is used for the different cases. So this is for the functional testing, and we did the same for load and performance testing. And in general, this is something that is really substantial. So if you spend your time, as I said, invest your time in doing this analysis and making a reasonable proposal, and show that you know what you're talking about, things are much different. Context and perspective. You need to talk the other side's language. So you are convincing people to invest in something that will cost money. So in their terms, it's money, time to market, Mondays, at some point people motivation, etc. So put your efforts to clarify clearly what would be the costs, what would be the tangible benefits. If you use again terms and metrics that the other side understands and cares about, like main days of work that will be spared per sprint, shortened time to market, etc. Those are the things that they will care about, and those are the things that will motivate their decision in one direction or the other. Take into account other factors that might be there. Third-party validation, examples, facts, and data that we talked. So give references, give additional information. For example, a team in your company, somewhere else in your company is doing it, or you did it in a past company. So showcase what you actually achieved, what happened, provide details. Use some external research. It might be a white paper, just not use research from, in this case, research from two vendors. So it's a sales material. So use some external research to provide information about how these things work, and what are the benefits, how this goes. So somebody else to verify that what you're saying makes sense. Quantify both the benefits and costs. So try to use as much as possible quantifiable metrics, and commit and track metrics and KPIs. Very quickly through the other examples. So this, for example, is justification that we will be using a modular approach to implementing test automation. So we will do it in a way that we will implement reusable components in a clever way, so that we can use them reuse them as much as possible, which gives two things. On one hand, implementing new tests, you reuse when you have a set of steps that are already automated in a reusable component. It saves time. Second, equally and very much important, is it helps with maintenance. So maintenance is one of the huge issues with test automation in long-term projects. So this helps you also when you need to maintain. You need to rewrite things and fix things in much smaller places. So this shows actually how in the beginning you do new tests, 1, 2, 3 here, and then at some point most of the test cases that you do from time to time require something new. Others are a combination of already existing ones. Also as I said, use quantifiable metrics like daily runs. So we have that many tests. It might sound like it's just 9 tests or 10 tests, but actually they are big ones, and you're using them on a daily basis very often. About fairness and integrity, discuss the risks, as I said. So clearly, again, as an expert, know what are the risks of this initiative. Discuss them. Don't expect for the other side to challenge you and then you to answer. So discuss this. Raise it in the beginning. Provide full transparency also after that and during the proposal. For example, what effort is done in new test implementation, maintenance, what is the current coverage in the different sprints. If you have different goals and KPIs, track them regularly, report them regularly. Stakeholders and decision-making process. One advice here, the last one on the slide, try to win the people that are influencers and decision makers one by one. Don't wait for the meeting where everybody will be discussing. Try to talk to people in advance and get their opinion. Get their opinion, not convince them. So consult them. Ask them, what do you think? So consult with them. Use them as I said, their perspective and try to address it. So this is an approach that helps a lot. And as I said, deliver effective content. Prepare short and long versions. Top managers read 1 page, not more. Subject matter experts read more. So you need to have an executive summary and also smaller, more detailed versions. Use diagrams, good structure, and clearly state what you want to achieve. So 1 more minute, and we go to questions. Learning more. So if you are interested to how should I say, this is a small, let's say a small fraction of different sales approaches that can be applied into your daily life. If you are interested to get to acquire more such skills and get better, what can you do? So one thing that I can propose to you is find a mentor, but a non-technical mentor. In your company, go to the sales guys, marketing guys, HR guys, account managers, and ask them if they will willing to be a mentor for you. They will be happy, I can assure you, because almost nobody from the technical guys is approaching them for something like this. First reason. Second reason, they need a mentor too. They need to get to know technologies much more, so it will be helpful. So get guidance for them, shadow them, go to meetings from time to time, view communication, etc., and you will learn a lot, and they will learn a lot from you. Gain knowledge. I don't expect anybody to start reading that thick books on selling, but those are things that I use and might be useful for you. So those are audio book. Those are book abstracts. So you have a book, for example, about sales or marketing or whatever. Within 15 minutes, an overview, a summary of the most important things in this area. So those are examples. I use Blinkist, but those are other also examples of services. Very inexpensive and very helpful when you are driving home or when you are on the plane. It works a lot. Video courses, I guess you know Safari. Those are all services that I also use. Pluralsight, I guess you know and use Pluralsight. There are also some business courses there. Of course, the mass courses. And the last advice in the last slide is to experiment with your skills. So maybe if you remember or if you evaluated that out of those 7 things, 3 really make sense to you. Next time when you are in a situation where you need to win something like this in convincing, motivating, making a motivated proposal, think about those 3 and experiment. Like challenge yourself. Can I do more in this area? And I can assure you that you will have better results, and appetite comes with eating. There is a much more extended version of this presentation. If you're willing, join me on LinkedIn and I will send it to you. Thank you very much.